Okay, so good evening. My name is Andrea Stevens with Mall of the Arts. Welcome to an upcycling class for everybody. MKO series sponsored by MKO. Um, just wanted to make a note that this is the last workshop in the MKO sponsored series, Introduction to Artists. But have no fear, there is going to be many more workshops coming up this summer. We have a workshop in moccasin design. We have our Spotlight series featured this weekend for children in creative dance and puppetry and math, and possibly more Indigenous drumming and African drumming. So stay tuned for more workshops this summer. Um, for today, uh, make sure for your class, we've got Catherine here. Make sure you have shopping bags, needle, thread, staple gun, or yeah, stapler, glue gun, just for resources to put your products together. Yeah, basically anything, and not all of them, just anything that you have in that category to help you with your design. And again, just a special thanks goes out to MKO for sponsoring the entire series. And now, to no ado, I'd like to introduce you to Shorty from Shorty's Upcycling Studio. I'm just going to switch the camera.
Hello, Catherine. How are you today?
I'm good. No snow. Good.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? I like the birds and the leaves on your wall behind you.
There's a good image during the winter.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna start off. Um, you probably have an idea of what upcycling is, eh?
I have I guess what you do at home and go and stuff
Yep.
like that. I get creative. I never did.
Yep. So it's basically you take uh, discarded items and basically reimagine and redesign and reinvent them. It could be artistic piece, it could be functional piece, depending on what your need is. Um, I kind of got into it sort of by accident. Um, my both my grandparents were farmers, and I think they were kind of like sort of some of the early versions of upcyclers. Whatever you had at hand, you just kind of made it work, sort of deal. And one thing I would like to point out too is that whenever you're doing something like this, it's never really, if it doesn't quite work out, it's not really a failure if you're learning and having fun doing it, right? So that's the important part to remember is it might take 2 or 3 tries or it might not just work out, but you're developing like the thought pattern and the skills to make it work next time possibly, right? So, but just have fun with it. That's what I always like to do, and it's getting our minds to see things in a different way from what we usually see them or they're used for, right?
How
So,
is the, sorry to interrupt, how's the sound there, Catherine? Are you hearing him clearly?
Yeah, I can hear him
Excellent.
clearly.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
okay, good. So today I was gonna kind of work on with reusable shopping bags. I know that sounds kind of funny because we got rid of plastic shopping bags so that we could have reusable shopping bags for the sake of the environment. But then everybody forgets. I always do, anyways. Forget them at home. Then you end up buying 15 more, and you just end up with hundreds and hundreds of them at the house. And I was thinking about, is there other ways you could use them and make it so that they don't end up in like going into the landfill and stuff like that, right? Like, so is there some ways you could use them around the house and make them, more functional than just for one purpose, right? Because I know for us, like, I don't know how many we've got downstairs. Like, you just they just seem to mass reproduce in the basement, I think. But so I was kind of looking at those this time around to see if there was some things we could do with them. I've come up with a few ideas, and some of what I'll show you one of them. kind of. So the one thing I did was I made a firewood carrier out of it. Now you could use it for carrying any kind of heavy object. So like if you're a gardener, you could put a bag of soil in here, just whatever you needed to carry that was heavy. It makes it a lot easier and a lot. Firewood works really good though because it's multiple pieces, right? And it keeps it nice and bundled up. And if you're having a campfire or if you've got a wood stove or whatever, but anything like that that you can think of, these the plastic type bags seem to work really well for this because they're a lot more abrasion resistant. So we could do a version of that. The only thing is I put wood strips across the top. Actually, so what I did with mine is I don't know if you can see that, but I put strips of wood on either side so it's split and then it's screwed on either side of where the handle attaches. And what that does is strengthens where the handle attaches. I mean, these things already carry a pretty impressive amount of weight. Like if you fill them full of canned goods or whatever, the handles seem to hold up really well for that already. But all I did with this is I cut the side. So like where the bag comes together on the side, I just cut on the inside. So I left the sewn edge on there so it doesn't fray and come apart. And I just cut this side piece out on both sides. And what you could do is if you wanted to do a project like this, the handles themselves would probably hold up okay without the wood if you don't have access to that, or if you don't have somebody that could, if you couldn't do that. The other thing maybe you could do is, I don't know if you could reinforce them another way. I just found with the wood pinched on it like that, it holds it from where it's sewn on and spreads the weight load over a wider spot. And so the handles are.
Piece of laughter.
Yeah. Or you could even sew a reinforced piece on top of it too as well. Something else, like it just double up like on the inside, especially where they're loose. It's hard to see that, but it's okay.
I'm gonna go grab one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
There's millions of these things.
What's that?
Millions of these things.
I know, yeah. I know, that's what I found. And that's why I was thinking, like, I kept saying to Andrea, I was like, there's got to be other things you can use these things for, because you always forget them when you go shopping. And then even if you remember them, you know, you've still got just oodles of them in the basement. But so on the inside of the bag, where the handle sews on, so like right where it sews on the inside, so where the handle comes down and they sew it in on the inside, is where it will be weakest. So you could do is you could maybe put some extra fabric across the inside of there and sew it across there, or pieces like I showed you before with this one, the pieces of wood. But it's still, even if you don't have that, it is incredible how much weight these things will hold. And if one of the big things is if you cut on the inside of this sewn seam on the side, so it can't fray, if you cut down that inside edge and take the sides out, then you can put wider, if whatever you're carrying, like firewood for instance, if it's longer than the bag is wide, it has room to go out either side. And it'll just work really good. Anything that's kind of cumbersome and awkward shaped, or if it's more than one piece, it works really good for carrying.
That would be a neat project.
What's that?
That would be a neat little project to start. Make the bags of that and leave at lake. Because how many times people have problems to area to carry that wood?
Catherine, can I get you to Hi, can I get you to hit do you have that little rectangle at the top left corner of your Zoom screen? It says turn off original sound or turn on original sound. If you have it. Some people don't have it. Just
I
that
don't.
you don't. Okay, you're cutting out. I wonder if we change ours, if that will make a difference. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, that makes it go into the laptop.
A little bit better?
How's that for you?
It's a little better. It's just quieter. I just have to listen closer.
We'll try that for a bit. If not, we'll switch it back.
Okay. So what were you saying?
I was saying, I like to go to Paint Lake, go for family picnic, get firewood, and carrying them. That would be a neat little project to leave a bag if you want to borrow, like to leave it by the wood log.
Exactly.
It's simple enough too. Like it's a good idea.
Yeah. And even if the handle's like, if the handle holds up, great. If it doesn't, then I'm sure we've got more of them kicking around, right? But the nice part is that it makes it a lot easier to manage the wood. Like you don't have to. It holds it nice and tight and grips it, so it doesn't want to fly out. It's not like trying to carry it in your arm, or it's nice and flexible, so it grabs and holds really well.
Yeah,
but
that's a good
I just
idea.
thought that was a really neat one. You could even do that one with kids or something too, right? Like if they want to play around with it, you could do that too. And I find too, like you're able to carry more weight with it than you would, like say if you were supporting it on one arm, or if you had somebody that had like shoulder issues or back issues or something like that, it would make it a lot easier for them to, carry awkward stuff, things that they have issues carrying normally.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and it's something you could do really quick too, right? Like if you're in a pinch and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to manage this, whatever, it's really easy to just zip the sides off it, right? And then you'd have it. But I think these plastic woven ones seem to hold up better. So especially if it's something with rough edges or sides, it doesn't cut as much. The fabric ones, like the stuff the Walmart bags are made out of, they don't seem to handle like sharp or abrasive stuff as well.
They rip a lot easier,
Yeah. It's almost like once they start to tear too, it's almost like a running pantyhose or something. It just spreads and just blows apart, right? So, but anyways, that was one idea. And then the one we're actually going to do today is, and you can use this for different things. So I made this one up earlier. So basically what it is, it's an apron. Okay. So like the one handle becomes the headpiece, right? And we cut the sides out of it. So I took the sides out. And when I cut the sides out, I left strips of fabric from the sides attached to it to use for the strings around the side. Now for myself, I have to lengthen these because they're not long enough to go around me. But what the ends are doubled over. So what you could do is put a hole in it and tie a piece of shoelace or string of any kind to lengthen it out to however long you'd have to get. So, and I put some of the fabric from the side. I actually made a pocket up here, and I made a pocket on the front, down on the front as well. So, and now we could do there's a couple different versions of this that you could do. you could do a full length one. You could do a shorter version, say like you have a daughter or nephew or a grandkid, somebody like that that wants to help you in the kitchen. It'd be a cool little project to make a little apron that fits them. That would be kind of fun. The other thing it could be good for is if you're repotting plants or if you're doing gardening or something like that. You don't want to get soil on the front of your clothes. Um, or if your husband's really dirty and he still wants a hug. Or But anyways, I'm going to make one of these, and we'll go through the process together. Do you have a glue gun there or sewing? Is that how you were?
I have a needle, and then I have Gorilla Glue, and I have a stapler.
A stapler. So
Yeah.
what we could do, because we have a limited amount of time, if you want, what we could do is we could staple anything that we need to attach. We could staple it just to hold it.
Yeah.
And then if you want to sew it later, or if you want to hot glue gun it or Gorilla Glue it, then you could do that.
Okay.
But we can staple it for now, just for the sake of time, so we don't run out of time and it's half finished on you.
Okay.
And then if you want to work over it, even the Gorilla Glue, if you put that on there, and then put the staples on it after, it'll be good. Should be fine.
Ask her if she wants to do this for the wood carrier.
Yeah. Do you want to do one of these?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's do that. Now we could do one too. This is a full length one. The other idea I had is that you could do a half one where you fold it up like this, and kind of like you remember the old nail aprons they used to have?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like my grandpa had one, and it was an old cloth nail apron, and you could fold it up in front, maybe 6 or 7 inches or something like that, and attach it on the sides. You can see that, I think.
Yeah.
And you could attach it on the sides, and even if you wanted to put a seam down the middle, so you had 2 larger pockets on either side.
Becomes a bib for the husband.
What's that?
It becomes a bib for the husband.
Yeah, exactly. To catch all the food he drops.
Right. Perfect size, eh?
But yeah. Okay, we'll do a full size one. Now, let's see what we got here. The other thing that's really cool about these bags is, depending on the time of year, they can be decorated fairly nice as far as like a seasonal thing. So like if you wanted to do a Christmas apron or something like that, like this would be kind of cool for that, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can do is you can strategically place a pocket over like the store name, so it doesn't look like what it was originally intended for. It hides that a little more, but it's still got a really cool plaid sort of Christmassy pattern to it, right?
Yeah.
Which would be kind of cool. The other nice part about these is most of them are water repellent, and so it will resist stains a lot better too. Like if you're baking or something like that, so you're very unlikely to stain them. The only thing you might have to watch is if you're using, like if you're near the stove or something like that. If you're planning on using it for gardening, say, I would say if it's plasticky, it's not going to be a big deal. But if you're using it near the stove or hot whatever, you may want to go. The fabric ones aren't going to be as likely to be damaged by the heat.
Yes, good idea.
I would worry with the plastic ones that if you got it near the heat, it might melt you and burn you. That would be a big no-no. But ultimately, we're trying not to hurt anybody. So, but this other one too, like, so you can get like they have like the Halloween bags and stuff like that. So if you're handing out candy at your house or something, and you wanted to have a cool little apron that you could just pull the candy out of and hand to the kids or something like that. So depending on the season, they come out with some really unique looking bags, depending on the time of year. But I find the one I'm going to work with, where did it go? Here it is. I think I'm going to use this one. So this one's got kind of fruit on it and stuff like that. And the other thing I like about this one is it's got a larger neck, like it's got a larger handle on it. Now, what I did with the other one, because the handle was smaller, is I just notched out in here.
Oh, okay.
So the larger handle really doesn't matter. If you've got one with a shorter handle, that's fine. If you've got, do you have a fabric one or like more of a, you know what I mean? Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Okay. So what we'll do first is if you want to pick which side is the, like, so we're going to cut one of the handles off. So whichever side you want to be the top, if you happen to have one side that has a better picture or design or something on it than the other side, I know on yours, I don't think it really makes a difference with yours. It's the same on both sides. But then what we'll have to do is just cut one handle off. Okay. So that makes the side with the handle officially the top now, okay? So when I'm describing it to you, if I refer to the top, this is the side I'm talking about, okay? So the side with the handle. So now what we're going to do first is we're going to take the side of it, the side panel, okay? And the side that is, so the edge that is closest to the top side. So this is my top side. So it will be this edge here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a ribbon out of that side about, say, about 1.5 inches wide. Or say if you took two of your fingers and laid them on there, roughly that wide. So you're going to cut a ribbon out of that down along that side, but leave the sewn edge intact on the attached to the front of it. You know what I mean by that?
Yep.
Okay. Something like that. We're going to do that to both sides, and that's going to make your drawstring for tying it around your waist. So you're going to end up with something like this. So it'll be the top side here, and then the ribbon still attached to the bottom of the bag. And then that remainder piece, this piece here, we're going to remove this.
We can't see it, Catherine, if you're trying to show it. There. Okay, yeah.
Yep,
There
perfect.
we go.
Yeah, and then the remainder of the side that's left, we're going to trim that off. Just keep playing over the side. So I'm probably going to use that. It should end up something like this. The two sides, the strips off the side.
Yeah.
Like
Amazing.
And then what you're gonna want to do is you gotta make this opening big enough so your head can get through it.
Okay.
So what I would do with your bag is cut down the center. So like between the two handles, make a cut down probably a couple inches, and then try it. If it's still too tight, cut it a little bit further. Just to cut right in the center, and we'll fold those loose pieces over after. But if you just cut like a U shape or a V shape out of there, then it leaves kind of a irritating edge there that'll it's kind of not as pleasant. But about that size?
Yep.
Okay, and then what we're gonna do, I don't have to do that with mine. I'll do a little one, and then we can work together on getting it. So we'll just find the center, and then so we're gonna take that, and on the inside, of it, now you could staple yours to hold it, but what I'm gonna do is just fold that over and make like a V out of it. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So I just took where it was cut, and I just folded it over to open it up like a V. And that leaves a bit more of a finished edge on here, so it's less likely to fray or irritate your skin. Now, I'm going to glue mine. And like I said, if you want to staple yours, and then if you want to sew it later or glue it when it has time to dry. I think the nice part with the fabric ones too is the glue will hold a lot better. And it's easier to sew, so if you're sewing it, it's going to be. Just waiting for my glue gun to come up.
I was wondering if it was
Well,
on.
I had it on low, but it's just kind of sitting there waiting. But even on low, it doesn't. I have high temperature glue right now, so. Andrea was showing me a picture of the earrings you did. Those were beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They turned out really cool, eh?
It's become a hobby now, so I think this might.
That is so good. Amazing. I love it.
I've talked to a few people that said they really enjoy it. It's kind of therapeutic doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think my fingers are too fat, and clumsy for that. There would be beads everywhere if I was trying to do that.
Oh, it happens. It happens.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's probably unavoidable, eh? Okay. Okay, so the next thing what we're going to do is we're going to take the edge. So on the outside edge of the neck piece, I'm going to fold it over like this. And now you can decide how big of if you want like a large taper or if you want a smaller taper just on the top edge. So depending on the look you're going for or what suits you better. There's not really any. There's no rule book when it comes to this. It's make it up as you go. Yeah, I put him out because he was huffing and puffing. He was ready for supper, so he's panting and. The other really neat part about this is it doesn't matter what length, like what height you are, or if it's for like your kid or something like that. You can make it whatever height you want, really. Yeah, that firewood carrier would work really well out of Paint Lake, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, 'cause
so.
you usually have to go and get firewood from them, don't you?
I think it changed this year, didn't it? They're
Yeah,
not.
I don't know what they're doing. I don't even know if they're gonna open this year. Are they, like the campsite?
I'm not even sure.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. So I don't know if you can see. So that's what I did with mine. So I just knocked the corners off mine a little bit.
That looks so neat. I'm just shocked.
Okay.
Oh, it looks nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
that's pretty cool, eh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so now the next thing I'm gonna do, and I don't know, you might have to sew yours eventually, or you could staple it like you said. But what I usually do with these ribbons on the side is I actually take them and fold them in half, so they're not quite so bulky. And then if you want to staple them and then sew them later or glue them, I don't know, the glue though might harden it up and make it stiff. Might be hard to use afterwards, like tie. Like the Gorilla Glue might stiffen it up on you.
Yeah, maybe a couple stitches will hold it
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Okay. Neat.
If I'm lucky, I won't glue myself to this thing by the time I'm done. I might be wearing this permanently. Now you can play with this design too if you find that it's like I was trying to figure out a way to make the bottom a little bit wider, so it widened out as it went down, like down towards like below the tie straps, like to have it widen out. And I think if you can figure out how to keep that side piece on and have it wrap more around, like around your legs. But we'll do it this way for now, and then, like I said, if you want to play with the design later, it's not like we don't have any more of those shopping bags to work with.
It sure got the ball rolling anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what this is all about, right? Is just coming up with ideas, and then you can make those, you can personalize them from there if you want to, right?
Yeah. Yeah, just for future reference, Gorilla Glue is no good. It just soaks right through.
Uh-oh.
Just so you know.
Yeah, you're probably better off to staple it for now and then sew it later, eh?
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
So no Gorilla Glue.
I'm not allowed to have sharp objects like needles, so. Now, what I'm going to do with mine, because these aren't quite long enough to make the round trip around me, I'm going to take the end. So because we left the end is doubled up and it's actually fairly strong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a hole in it right around here somewhere. And I'm going to add a piece of shoelace to mine. I'm going to split the shoelace in half and put a piece on either side so that you can tie it off better. Now you could use string, you could use yarn, shoelace, whatever you have, or the other thing you can do is if your handle is decent enough, the leftover handle, in your case, because you're able to sew right there, you might be able to use the leftover handle to lengthen it out. I don't know, I can't tell exactly how long your handle is, whether it would be worth sewing on there, but yeah, it only gives you about another 6 inches, eh? You might be better off to get a shoelace or a string, or you could steal your husband's shoelace. He'll never know. Don't tell him I said that.
Well, ribbon, I guess, could work. We got lots of it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that color would be really good with it too. Now, however you can punch a hole through it, that's whatever. I'm using a hole punch, but you don't have to use that. You could. Then I'm going to use Andrea's shoelace.
I never do them up anyways.
The cool part is too is you could decorate this however you wanted to, or personalize it. You could paint it if you wanted to. You could sew fabric or ribbons all around the edge, or right,
Beads.
glue beads. Yeah, you could do some bead work on it. You could bead your name on the front of it or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, actually, that probably would. That I would imagine that fabric would hold up okay for beading on.
Well, we could make that little pocket in the front and it would catch all my beads. So there we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Use your beading apron.
Actually, it might be kind of cool to use one of those Walmart flowers as kind of a pattern and fix it up a little bit and use the pattern as a put a center in it and do all kinds of cool stuff with it.
It'll be interesting. Not all summer now, and I'll be looking, putting a call out there for different kinds of reusable bags.
Yeah. Yeah, because they come in some really unique designs too. Like you can see them in all different colors and patterns, and you could use like if you maybe didn't find the whole bag is really nice, but what you could do is if it might make a nice pocket pattern, or maybe it's got a cool flower or something on it that you could cut out and stitch to it, or something just to decorate it with, right?
Yeah, neat.
So I got my laces on my sides. That should be enough. Should be enough acreage to get around me. Yeah, maybe I got a little bit of dirt on there. You can't have that. We can't have it getting dirty before I use it.
It's like a tar of some sort.
Okay. So now, what I was able to do with that other Walmart one is the piece that was left over on the side that we cut off.
Hmm.
That should work. Mine was the one I cut off of this bag isn't quite wide enough. But what I did with the other one is I took it and I shortened it, and then I made pockets out of it. So out of that side piece, I put like a breast pocket on it, and I put one down in the front. Now we could do one up on the chest if you want. The other thing we could do the only thing is if you fold it up like this, it kind of shows the white bottom, doesn't it? So what you could do is take that side panel if you want and sew a big pocket across the front, because you got two of them, right?
Yeah.
So you could sew it across the bottom and make like a big pocket in the front, maybe with a seam in the middle. I could do that with this one, I guess. The other thing you can do is, and this was Andrea's idea. I got to give credit where credit is due.
Oh, I have an idea.
So what she suggested, if you're a shorter person, a person with a shorter body, what you can do and this one is a kind of a narrow bag, but I think with your bag it might work, is you could actually fold it where it's folded in the middle on the bottom where the bottom of the bag would have been. So you could fold it and then sew the sides so you get a pocket in the center.
Oh yeah.
It's not going to be super deep probably, but it would be, I mean, if you're, depending on what you're putting in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beads.
Yeah.
Beads would work.
Beads. But yeah, that would give you a little pocket right around your waist where you could put that. You would just have to sew up the sides. And you could do a seam in the center if you wanted. Might actually do that with this one just for, it's not super deep, but
And then you get rid of this black thing.
it's not a super deep pocket.
No. Well, you can make it deeper if you want to, right?
Yeah,
you don't have
you
to
could
follow
just,
the seam.
yeah.
You could bring it up more if you want to. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. This one. Something like that. It's going to be super short on me, but maybe I'll give it to Zarya.
Yeah, exactly. Or Rosa.
It might be a little long for Rosa. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go like that. And I'm going to break out my stapler. Your stapler.
I wonder if we could sell these back to Walmart now.
There you go.
It would be funny to wear them to Walmart and see what they said. You might get in trouble at the door, though. They might think you were trying to walk away with some stuff. Probably should have done this on the other side, but.
Well, are you going to take those staples out after?
I know.
Okay.
Because all they're going to do is hold the center of the pocket. So use that pocket.
Oh,
on
okay,
the
so it's not
side.
going to scratch on.
No. That's why I said I probably should have done it from the other side. But what I'll do is I'll just glue that piece of straps here. Just to make sure. But yeah. So are you going to do the center pocket? Is that what you're going to do, or?
Yeah, I folded it the same way you did.
Yeah.
I'm just going to show what you're doing with the stages.
It's top secret information.
That's exactly why I'm showcasing it.
So did you get out to paint Lake Atoll last year?
Once, I think.
Yeah. We were out a couple times, but man, it was flooded bad too last year too.
Yeah.
The whole playground down by the beach and everything was all.
Wonder how the water looks this year. Is it low?
I don't know. We had a fair bit of snow though, so hard to say too what Manitoba Hydro is going to do with it. Dams and everything. At the very least, they're probably going to have to do some work on to it after last year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cool. Once you cut it, there's no going back. Okay.
Yep.
How's it going?
It's going really good.
Oh, good. I don't know well, I was just debating whether to glue that solid or just put a couple strips like there and there. So then if you wanted to hang something off the front of there, or slide it through, that might be
Show her what you're doing. Show her
So I took the handle that I cut off of this side. I actually took it and put it across the top of the pocket. And I think what I'm going to do is I might attach it at two different places. So there's the hole through the fabric. So say you wanted to hang a spoon down through there, or if you're gardening, you could put your gloves in there, or a shovel, or whatever. Just kind of give you some loops to put your tools or your weapons in. Actually, you might even be able to use that to put some needles in if you wanted to. If you're doing beading or whatever, or sewing. Staple it. Holy hell, man.
So she's talking about the cloth and the gorilla glue connection.
No, this is what I was talking about.
Oh. Well, just show just because if anybody else wants to.
So the one thing I did find out for educational purposes is my glue gun has like a metal tip on it for a little more, supposed to be for more precise work. But it gets hot enough that I actually melted through the strap. So the fabric that they make the handles out of, this tip will melt through it. So that's one thing to be mindful of. If you use a glue gun on it in the future or something, that'll be,
Don't touch it.
yeah.
He just sees the glue.
So what I'll do then some glue some of these. A couple of those. Hmm? I have to squirt my fat fingers doing this. Oh, you know me. Can't even manage these beads, let alone the little fine ones. So I think Robin's probably going to do a moccasin workshop as well, I think. So that should be good.
Aiming for July, August.
Yeah. What? What?
This big old burly guy.
Yeah,
His
doing
apron and his
beads
beads.
and making an apron.
This is art.
Andrea's laughing at me.
That looks nice though. Really cool.
And I'm using all the end pieces from my beading, all my waste that I use my
right
thread.
on. Huh?
Mhm.
For her decorating.
Let's see.
So far,
Oh, awesome.
Wow.
thing at the back, so I'll fine tune
Holy,
it.
she works quick.
Yeah, I'm fumbling around burning myself with a glue gun, and you pretty much
She's got
sewed it all up.
Wow.
So I where I burnt through that strap on the waist, I put some. So I just put some beads over where the burns were.
Oh, yeah.
So probably give this to my daughter. That should be good. I might put a small. I don't know. It's got lots of pockets. Anyway.
That's good.
Ah, who's gonna spill? That's the spot.
Sure enough.
Does she have water? Yeah, and he wants his supper. I wish I knew how to tie a nice bow. Hmm? Not all of it, no. It's just like a tablespoonful maybe. And there's actually give them 2 tablespoons, and Yeah. What? No, I didn't intend to put the beads on there, but I put the ribbon on upside down, so then I got the glue on this side, so then I put the beads on behind. There you go.
Okay, let's showcase.
Oh, how's it going?
Going, I got some color even.
Wow!
Holy, nice.
Is that from your is that also from your beading, or where did the color come from?
Well, this
Got
is
some
a
ribbon?
craft bag, so
Oh,
Oh,
gotcha.
yeah. Another use for a shopping bag, a craft
Yeah.
bag.
I know.
So this is the one we did. So I put a
Oh.
little ribbon, like a little bow up here, with it's got a little bit of beads on it, and then same with around the waist. It's got a little beadwork there, and the pocket.
neat.
Yeah, and then it's got the pocket in the front. Yeah. There we go.
Simple. This is just, yeah. Never would have thought.
Okay, so that's that one. Now, so I don't know if you want to decorate that further. That's up to you. If you want to make another one at some point. But another thing I was gonna mention too, is another thing you could use this for. I don't know if you've ever seen like hanging tomato plants. Have you ever seen that?
Just the ones that you can buy in a store.
Yeah, so you can get so if you take one of these, the fabric one specifically, I think. But if you take one and you probably cut it in half or narrow it down, you could actually sew a seam maybe right down the center, or fold it in half. That might work too. But basically, what you want is you want to make yourself a long rectangle, about I would say 6 inches square, maybe. And I don't know, do we have enough time to do that, or?
It's up to her.
Um,
How much time do you have, Catherine?
I have to go before 8.
Before 8. Okay, so we have about half an hour.
okay. Well, I can just give you a quick overview of what I'm talking about here. So what you basically would do is you would take your bag and either sew it down the middle, so that you have two sections. Okay, so you create like two pockets out of it, and then what you would do is you would cut. So you would cut little notches out of it. So you could take, and I don't have one done up. I should have done one up, but I could do one, I guess.
Yeah.
I just don't know how quick this is going to be.
Just use the stapler just for holding it together for now.
Okay. Okay, so let's do that then. So I'm just going to use the stapler for the sake of time. So what I did is I folded it in half just to give me two equal compartments, because you don't, the bag won't, a whole bag of soil is going to be too, it's going to fall apart, like open up and tear. So if you can support it in the center, that's basically the idea. So you would end up with two sections, two columns on either side. Okay? And then what you can do is you can hang it by the straps, and you would cut notches in the, or holes in it for your plants to grow out of. And then rather than putting, like if you had your tomato plants, they actually do fairly well in a hanging bag. So a tomato plant will grow down, and it will actually, they're actually, and these bags will hold the moisture nicely too.
Can you cut the notches?
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I thought you weren't going to cut the notches.
The only thing you wouldn't want to do is cut the bottom. So don't cut right at the bottom. Come up about 2 or 3 inches. And you could cut a notch. I would cut a hole out of like 1, 2 maybe on either side, like on the 3 sides. So let's just cut a notch out of it. What I'm going to do is this. And I'm going to cut it in a downward kind of a V shape. Like that. And then I'm going to come up about 4 inches. I'm going to do the same thing again. And so then what you end up with is these kind of bird's mouth holes. I don't know if you can see that. And then what happens is you actually fill it with dirt and you plant your plant in the tomato plants. You could probably do this with like a marigold or hanging plants of any kind. Really would probably thrive okay in this. But especially something that hangs and vines or tends to like run streamers down would work really well.
So I have tomatoes and cucumbers. They're just tiny still, but need to be transplanted. Could I transplant them into that?
Yeah, I don't know. We're probably late enough. The only thing is that you could transplant them into this as long as it's, because you're probably not going to want to move this around too much once you get it in spot. So if it's too early, then you don't want to be taking it in and taking it back out at night. You know what I mean? Or like take it in at night and bring it back out.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't want to put them in this until you're sure that it's not going to get hit with frost, which I know is kind of a gamble here no matter what time we put it out.
Yeah.
But you could do that. Just the only thing I would say is make sure that the center is really well like stitched really well. And you may, if you're sewing it, make sure you stitch the handles really well too. Like give them an extra little bit just to make sure they're not going to tear out of the bag. They should be okay, but just for your own peace of mind, right?
Yeah.
And then then you could use the handles to hang it. And I would do, depending on where you've got it located, but you could do 2 on each side depending on what you put in it. Now cucumbers would probably work pretty good too. Depending on whether depending on what kind of cucumbers are they, like are they canned cucumbers or are they like full size?
They're actual full size cucumbers.
Yeah. I think they should be okay. I've never done full size cucumbers. We did canning cucumbers, but I don't know whether the fruit would be too heavy. it should be okay. I would think it would be okay. If it was a concern, what you could do is you could support the bottom somehow too, right? Just to make
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But that would make a nice, and you could decorate the bag a little bit, or even if you just spray paint it green, or or if you have a green bag, like a bag that's green in color, that would work good too. But yeah, that way you can use these bird's mouths, and the little piece of fabric that sticks out will help support it a little bit and will keep the dirt from falling out. So rather than cutting like just a round hole, if you cut this bird's mouth shape, I don't know, it's hard to show you on the screen. I think you can probably see what I'm talking about. But I just folded the bag in half where I wanted the holes to be, and then I just cut a downward, like I went like this with the scissors on a downward angle. So you have this little bird's mouth here, and that's where your plant was. So if it's sitting like this, the bird's mouth sits out like this, and it supports the soil. So if any soil comes out of the bag, it sits in that little pocket.
Okay.
Yeah, until the plant gets its roots established good, and once the roots are established, it won't. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, that would be kind of a cool little one to try too.
Would be, yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Awesome.
So I think that's pretty well all we're gonna do for today. But I appreciate you joining us and and bringing your own twists and ideas to it. It was kind of fun.
Yes,
Really,
definitely.
it's always really cool to see what other people come up with too. Once you start thinking outside the box, and putting things together, it's always fun to see what you can come up with.
Yeah.
And but yeah, the whole point of this too is just to look at things in kind of a different way and think, what are some other things I could use it for? Or if you're looking for something, say you were, maybe you're carrying your firewood and you're thinking, what could I possibly do to make this easier? It always, you can look at things in a different way and come up with different solutions and maybe save some stuff that would have otherwise been garbage. So
Definitely.
but
Yeah.
but anyways, yeah. Thanks so much for joining us, Catherine, and bringing your artistic spin to it. It was you did some really beautiful work there, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay,
So,
thank you so much.
yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you around, I'm sure.
Yes. Have a good evening.
Okay.
And
Thanks, Catherine.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, take care. Bye.